We're live in Pleasant Hill. I don't know where it's going.
Right, okay, so this is an update to everyone, or not necessarily an update, but to make you aware, those of you that are in internships, and definitely for online internships as well, with regards to registering for the specific group supervision fieldwork section. So you really need to pay attention when you get that email. Those of you obviously who are in internships know which email we're talking about, when it says that it's notifying you who your supervisor is and it's approving your fieldwork internship. Okay, that email is going to indicate which section you need to register in. And that's important just particularly with regards to the new system with SO, because people have accidentally been registering in the wrong one, and then it's difficult to kind of catch that and then move them into the right section. So there's going to be, for on-site students, it's obviously going to be section 1 or section 2 for PSP 5280, and then obviously your supplemental class is PSP 5801. So you're always going to be looking at either section 1 or section 2. And then online students, you're going to be looking at section 5 and 6 with regards to PSP 5280 and 5801 for supplemental. Okay, so that's really important, and we wanted to just address that because there's been that extra section added at the moment for online students, so that you've got smaller classes for group supervision. So we don't want them to be getting too big, so that's why we've got 2 sections. Okay, so that's registering for that, and then also within that email is going to be an authorization code, because now you need a code that allows you to individually be authorized to register. So that's going to be in that notifying email as well. If you don't have that, and like some of you will have experienced, you reach out to us as fieldwork directors, and then we get back to you with the code that enables you to register. So it should be a straightforward process, as long as we kind of follow those rules. A quick update from LEAP, and this is to do with their workshops. So I know some of you here are involved in those workshops, and we really appreciate you obviously spending your time and wanting to be involved within the LEAP workshop. So it's working with underserved youth, and it's where, so using one example, we'll go to De La Salle Academy, which is kind of 10 minutes down the road, and we'll do workshops for kind of an hour to an hour and a half, working with a group of underserved youth, so that generally between the age of kind of 10 to 14, and they'll go to them and do a session maybe 4 to 5 times in a year. So it's really kind of continuing the work. Now, what we've experienced with that particular group is we have those groups, or have done in the past, in summer camp. So it's really reinforcing the work and the skills that you're trying to teach them by having that continued relationship. So Dan Orion and Drew Morgan, as obviously fronting LEAP, they're the people to contact with regards to if you're interested in these LEAP workshops. Now it's only going to be phase 2 students really who are going to be involved this year, because you need to have done an internship to be getting involved, actually being one of the group leaders. However, there is the opportunity for you to kind of shadow and go and watch those workshops if you're interested in being involved, particularly new students who might be thinking of it for next year. So it's really good practice to keep you practicing those skills, even if it's kind of outside of your internship hours. And that was just one other thing with regards to everyone here when we talk about LEAP workshops. See it as a bank of hours. So don't see it as, oh, this is an automatic substitution of these hours are going to count towards my 200 hours that I do in my internships. That's not necessarily guaranteed. That's going to be down to our discretion if you need to use that bank of hours. But you should see it as additional work, and it's really good practice and experience for yourselves. So we just want to make that clear, that just see it as this extra additional bank of hours that you've got that you might be able to rely on if you need them. But ideally, you'll be working through the hours that you do with your internships, which is 40 hours, and then 60 and 60 hours for your third and fourth. Yeah.
Who do we contact if we want to shadow?
If you want to shadow, I would definitely contact Dan and Drew, because they'll be able to coordinate you with regards to what dates are available and where they're going to be for you to be able to pick as to which one you can see.
Their email address is LEAP@JFKU.
Thank you.
And it goes to both.
One more thing on internships. So those of you, again, that are familiar with the process, with Form A's, we feel we've been very flexible with regards to the timeline on Form A's being handed in for your internships, and that's where you need to bear with us in terms of you get your Form A in at a certain date. Don't necessarily be expecting that you'll be linked up with a supervisor by the following week and then you're up and ready to go. We need a bit of time for that transition to happen in order to verify and approve that internship and then link you with a supervisor. So there probably will be more emails from myself and Professor Lopez with regards to the structure and timeliness of Form A's, but at the moment we have been kind of open to accepting them as and when you feel you've got an internship opportunity coming up. However, do bear in mind we do need a level of time in between for us to be able to make sure that's a secured internship for you all.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Emily.
2 minutes.
I'll be super quick. So, hello everybody, I'm Kimberly Bruno. I am the fieldwork coordinator for the program. So the most important thing, and I know I just told everybody in the new student orientation, but I'm going to reiterate in case anybody forgot. Most important thing, my name is Kimberly and nothing shorter. The other thing, if you come into the office and you have an appointment to see any of the faculty, don't just walk up to the faculty offices, go check in at the front desk. If nobody's there, there should be a bell on the desk. If that's not on the counter, come back and see me. Don't just go to the faculty offices and knock on their door because they could be involved in a phone call, a Skype, anything, and it's just not appropriate to knock on their offices. If there's something going on and you need to get a hold of them and you're not able to get a hold of them and you feel it's an emergency, you can always get a hold of me. I'm usually there Monday through Friday. A lot of times I'm in meetings, so it might take me a couple hours. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. And lastly, for the students who are in the linked PsyE program, I am so sorry because you have to deal with me for a very long time. And that's it.
Jumping back in. I feel like we're on a quick timer to get this done. Scheduling issues. We are very aware that there have been scheduling issues. We do apologise for that. Obviously it has been the transition with the new system, so we're all kind of getting on track with that. However, just some things to bear in mind, and obviously this hopefully is more so thinking towards the winter quarter and registration. Sometimes when the classes are full, it may not appear on SOAR. Now I think they are going to work on that to make sure that you can actually see the class, but we can understand it, and it was the same for us in terms of there's a bit of a level of panic that you can't see a class coming up and that you definitely can't register for it. So we just want to kind of diffuse that panic somewhat, and so the process I would advise you to do if that happens, leading up into the winter quarter, is obviously feel free to contact myself to do with scheduling, but also you've got your advisor and your academic counsellor. So I would say the first port of call is going to be the academic counsellor, which at the moment would be Julie, who you need to contact. And then you've obviously got any of us as faculty, who's your faculty advisor, and then myself with regards to scheduling. So as soon as you've contacted us, we don't want you to panic about it. Obviously it's frustrating that you can't immediately register when you're trying to. However, then it will be on our plate and it's on our radar in terms of to get that sorted. So sometimes it's just a case of opening the class so that the numbers can increase, and then it'll be available for you to be able to register. So we just wanted to make you aware of that in case that happens again leading into the winter quarter. And then final point from me is just with regards to the ASP updates. So hopefully everyone here is now familiar with ASP or becoming more familiar with ASP. Most of you will probably be aware of the email that was sent out with regards to the new title, and that rolls out on October 1st. So on Sunday, that's where the new certification program will begin. And the new title, so instead of when you're certified, it was always CCASP. Now it's CMPC, so it's Certified Mental Performance Consultant. Okay, so that's what you'll recognise when you've got a certified practitioner, that they'll use that title, CMPC. So try and keep up with the updates from ASP. If there is any information, they're obviously constantly putting that out on their website. And I know definitely with some of the new ones, you will have definitely heard now of the listserv. Is anyone on the listserv out of the students here? Okay, so quite a few of you. And so some of you will be aware of the debate that began yesterday. So that will be an insight for you in terms of listserv. One thing to bear in mind with the listserv is remember that it isn't an ASP listserv. Okay, it's a listserv for all practitioners, everyone who's interested in sports psychology, being a mental skills coach, sports psychologist, but it's not actually an official ASP listserv. So it's a listserv. So that's where you'll get kind of a ranging debate, and it's very kind of open speech and open forum. So I would definitely, I think we all would, advise you, if you're ever going to put something on there, to really think about what you're putting on there, really think about the etiquette in terms of how you're wording your email, because you'll see from demonstrations of yesterday, you know, various things can be taken certain ways, and then it's just a chain of responses sometimes.
Let me just say something about the email that happened yesterday. So I had said in sports psychology class on Monday that I can guarantee that almost everybody will make one mistake on the listserv, and there it was. It was perfect timing, and so I'm going to thank Sharon. So Dr. Sharon Sherbin is...
I was going to say, mistake.
Different Sharon. So she is a very well-respected person, lovely person, obviously got very frustrated about something and thought that she was venting to a friend, and wasn't. She vented to the entire listserv, and there's 1,500 people on it. We don't hold that against her. We love Sharon, and these things happen, but I wanted to remind you that that's a real teachable moment, and a good example of the default is always reply all. It goes straight to the listserv. And also to let you know that Dr. Sherbin is our PDS Tier 1 speaker in November. So we're excited to give her a hard time about what happened. So I'm sure she will enjoy the joke at that point. Anyway,
Hopefully.
She's a clinical sports psychologist. She's going to be doing an amazing PDS in November. So anyway, she's coming, and I'm sure we can give her a hard time at that point.
All right, so thank you for talking about PDS. I don't have to talk about it. It's on November 18th. You're all required to be there. There's a Tier 2, which is going to be an alum panel, which is going to happen at the end of November, early December. We're still trying to figure out the dates for the people to come in on. That also is required to go to. The panel, the alum, have a interesting experience. One of them works in the tech field. One of them works at a college, focusing on health with the athletes, and another focuses on working with youth athletes. So it's a lot of variety. I think you're all going to enjoy. Now, talk about the biggest thing for today is house points. All right. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's the best way to set this whole thing up. And the whole thing about house points is just to promote behavior that's going to be beneficial for you once you graduate. Now, there's a couple of rules, all right? The first rule, and most important, is that you can't ask for house points. Even if you do something house point worthy, if you then say, Professor Lopez, do I get house points? The answer is going to be no, and those house points will then be revoked. What you do instead is, if you do something house point worthy, you email JFKU housepoints@gmail.com and say, hey, I did this, and then you push send. There will not be any replies on that email. All I'm going to do is just collect all the things that you do in that week time span. So if you do something house points worthy and you wait 1 week and a day, and then you tell me, you won't get house points for it.
Can you repeat the email one more time?
It's JFKU housepoints@gmail.com.
He'll also email that email.
Yeah.
What did
It's all within a week period. 1 week period. So if you do something house point worthy on Monday and next Tuesday rolls around, it's void. You can't claim it.
When does it start? When do we start?
Today. Starts today.
And we're retroactive.
Yes. So officially that week period starts today. Everything started from July 1st we'll consider. Because in the summer there's a lot of stuff that happened in the summer and no one got points.
When?
July 1st. Now let me tell you some other things. Once the decision is made to award house points, the decision is final. House points can't be taken away. However, if any member of a house brings dishonor to the respective house, they will be barred from earning any points. So this can forever.
Forever.
This includes academically cheating, plagiarism, claiming someone's work as your own, such as your presentations, handouts, and or violating the ethical code of conduct set for internships. So if for some reason you went out drinking with one of your athletes while in internship, that's a no-go. All right? So,
We have a question.
New student question. We were wondering, does the email for house points thing include social media posts or no?
yeah, I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So, house leads can also create opportunities to earn points. However, they must be open for all students and not just their own house members. And then faculty members can also earn house points on select opportunities. So, how it's broken down. It goes from 1 point, 2 points, 5, 10, 15, and 20. Worth 1 house point is tweet something sports psychology related and receive more than 10 likes. It's pretty easy. It has to be on your personal Twitter or the professional Twitter that you created for school. You can also Instagram something sports psychology related and get more than 40 likes, and that's worth a point. Or you have a prominent sports psychology practitioner or researcher retweet your original tweet. All those 3, you'll get a limit of 3 per quarter. So if you, let's say you're fantastic on Twitter and everyone, you get more than 10 on everything that you do, you can only count for 3 per quarter. The other thing I forgot to mention is like if you're wondering like, well, what's considered prominent, there's a house points committee that decides on the things once they roll around, okay? Now, worth 2 points, you ask a question during PDS Tier 1 in which the presenter says, that's a good question. A variation of the phrase will be accepted. You get 1 per PDS, Tier 1 PDS. Or you get a shout out on Twitter or Instagram from a team or organization you're working with, or you've worked with. Or you find 5 applicable video clips to use for sports psychology presentations. Video clips need to be submitted to Google Drive, which I'll send to you. Okay? That's worth 2 points. Worth 5 points, you read a non-textbook related book to our field and write a 2-page summary about it. So for example, if you read Grit, Leaders Eat Last, The Tipping Point, Peak, Finding Superman, Make It Stick, Outliers, Good to Great, The Energy Bus, all those are books related to our field that if you write a 2-page summary, you get 5 points. And that is limit 1 per quarter per student
life.
and faculty. What's that?
1 per life.
All right. Another thing worth 5 points, attend a sports psychology conference. So if any of you go to ask, you're going to get 5 points. If you review a journal, that's worth 5 points. You get 3 per quarter. That's more for faculty. Or you become a teaching assistant for someone other than your house lead. 5 points. Limit 2 per student. Or if you do a LEAP workshop, limit 3, you get 5. So Shane, looking at you. All right, worth 10 points. Present at a professional conference. Yeah.
Question. I was just wondering, for the LEAP workshop, does the shadow count?
Yes,
No.
it does.
No.
It does.
They just gotta show up?
Yes.
Maybe
No.
fewer points. I think we should talk about it.
Dispute amongst the committee.
No.
That's a great question.
There are house point overlords.
What about like with the reflection? Like if we shadow with the reflection?
We'll think about it.
What is with these people in papers?
Yes.
No. No. I'm not about that. No.
No, something sports psychology
Sharon,
related.
come here. Hold this.
If you present on psychology at a sport conference, then yeah, that would count.
Yeah, my arms are tired.
Go for it.
You can submit it to the email and we'll
Yeah,
tell
submit
you.
it to the email and we'll judge it.
How can I tell what I'm doing?
All right. So those are worth 10 points.
Can I do a guest appearance too?
Presenting at a professional conference
do
worth
a
10
photo
points.
bomb?
Something else worth 10 points is you fulfill a position on the Sports Psychology Student Association, one-time use, and you must have the position for a minimum of 6 months. And or you, this is only for faculty, but you present or run a sports psychology workshop for more than 15 people or longer than 4 hours. Worth 15 points, you have a peer-reviewed publication accepted for publication, or you write a book chapter, or you write a book. And worth 20 points is you edit a book.